I think that the great thing about this film is that we are given a palette that we can create anything. And we're making films in times with computer graphics and special effects that give us the opportunity to go to the limits, the edge of our imagination. And that's just one of the great things about this movie. It's one of the things that just made me so passionate about working on this film was that I can create a world that no one's ever seen before.
The film is about this thing that was found in the ice shelf down in the Antarctic. And it's giving off a radio signal of some sort that people are picking up sort of on satellite receivers all around.
You know, the dish transmitter and receiver 1,000 feet in diameter. Most powerful on Earth. This signal's stronger, and it's coming from something the size of a pickup truck.
Being the communications officer, everything kind of goes through him in connection with the rest of the world. So he was a very important figure in the entire movie.
So you really think it's artificial? Oh, I know it's artificial. Could be an elaborate hoax. Could be.
It was designed much on films that I'd seen in the past, like The Andromeda Strain, in which you basically start with a very benign sort of event that seems very simple on its surface, but then produces a chain of events that grow out of proportion for humans to actually be able to cope with.
One of the ideas was in the story is to see how a group of people who are kind of disconnected from the rest of the world, how would they behave under pressure?
I've been transmitting a mayday, but I can't make contact through the storm.
We're all gonna die, aren't we?
Hello, Julian.
Kate.
I play Kate, who's an agricultural geneticist, a brainy chick. And I have been in a research station up in the South Pole for 2 years. My character was involved with James Spader's character. Although they had a really good relationship, he kind of messed it up. So when James's character arrives back, it's an awkward situation because I think things haven't really been resolved between us.
Everything's always a joke with you, isn't it? You've made a breakthrough in genetics that could put us in the running for a Nobel. For the first time in my life, I'm part of something truly significant.
John Lynch's character and my character, have kind of developed a relationship, a little bit of a rapport, and you feel that there is the possibility that something more is going to develop between us. And there's kind of an ego thing that happens between the two men because they are both scientists and they both have an interest in me, and so it makes for interesting dynamics.
Exactly how many signals have you interpreted, Julian?
None, exactly.
There's a certain amount of antagonism between himself and myself, or our characters within the film, which grows and sort of develops as the story unfolds.
Julian comes in and he breaks the balance that was there.
He's, in a way, he's like the alien. He contaminates the environment also. It's a triangle that becomes very dangerous in the story.
It really is the subtext of the picture itself, that there's a tension that grows between these three, and then that tension is developed beyond that to what happens with the 8 or 9 people that actually live in this very insulated environment.
You don't decide anything for me.
Calm down, Michael.
He's right, Michael. No one leaves.
We're trapped there. There's a tremendous amount of jeopardy. The jeopardy shifts dramatically throughout the piece. And therefore, just when you think that you have sort of a handle on where you're going to go from here for the rest of the story, things change and the rules sort of change.
The story keeps moving. It never stands still. It's always, goes from the alien to the alien virus. And just when the virus hits, then it becomes the government. And the government decides they're going to send up a nuclear weapon to wipe these people out. And then, of course, the ultimate threat being the threat of each other, that they turn on each other in desperation. When you apply pressure, that's when you really get to see the character.
I think that that's what separates good sci-fi from bad sci-fi, is people, when you actually feel that the characters that are in the movie have a real connection and fear and intrigue with what's going on around them.
Every minute we waste is a minute we could spend further away from here.
We get to see them break down.
It is an unnerving picture that is disturbing at times because of the nature of the human spirit.
I thought this would be a station that had existed from the Cold War, possibly. A station that was retrofitted over the years.
We didn't want to do like a very high-tech kind of place, but a bit rundown. You know, the pipes are sometimes kind of leaking, and it's kind of old equipment.
One that had existed for many years and was old and crusty, and the research station would almost have a life of its own. It would be breathing.
Genetic labs in the field.
What the hell is that?
It's a glacier shift. Happens all the time, Mr. Rum.
Definitely the movie's look came from production design, meaning that we had a lot of ceilings being really low. We had a lot of spaces being a little bit tighter than you would usually want to when you're shooting the film.
It really becomes sort of a very sort of claustrophobic sort of sub-thriller.
Very cold and kind of eerie.
The way it was designed, particularly the way it was shot, the way it was directed, it has an underlining sort of dark, edgy feel to it.
Hello?
Visually, we also tried to build the movie starting wider. The movie opens up in California and Berkeley, and then builds itself up to become more and more claustrophobic, more and more closed in. We consciously choose tighter lenses to go closer to the actor. We consciously choose handheld work to support their anxiousness.
It ate tissue from the inside out. There's no protozoa can do that.
Not here, not on Earth.
When you're working in a film when the environment is totally claustrophobic, very interesting dynamics start to happen between the people because they're with each other all the time. I mean, you live in these tiny little rooms.
It's not the plaza, but it's the best we have.
Then when you're shooting this kind of film, because you're in a studio and you're in a claustrophobic environment, and you're on location and you're with your cast members all the time, that kind of, you know, it sort of makes it very accessible to you and very tangible.
You're not ready to die.
The ice block in the film was it was huge. It was probably about somewhat about 20 feet long. It looked great. It was made out of fiberglass and resins, and we put some piping on it for water and to create the dripping effect.
We made the decision we're going to actually put the actual light sources in the frame so we can put the sources closer to the ice, make it more transparent, which I think really worked out well. Texture of the ice is probably one of the most difficult textures to light right from the cinematography point of view, and I'm just a genius.
Like this, like that. That's good right there. See how it grabs his head? I felt that the alien should be something that was scary, but also we saw a hint of intelligence.
Extremely defining moment is when they have contact. When the alien and Julian have contact, actual physical contact for the very first time.
We tried to do that scene in small pieces, starting with the finger, building up to a hand, showing a little bit of the alien bit by bit.
I felt that the less we saw, in a way, that the scarier it would be because of this buildup of tension.
Where final reveal would be this gorgeous face of the alien, you know, being raised up in the shot. How the director defined that and how they shot it cinematically, I think,
captures this great moment between two species.
And then they get together and this gentle moment where he touches him. I love it.
The aliens trying to connect and give a message to our hero and show him that there is hope.
Well, that was one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie because I like the big explosion and flying over a desk and getting up and stuff's hanging around and smoke's everywhere. I like that stuff. So that is one of my favorite scenes. I mean, I just like the explosion. I love the glass going everywhere and people not know what the heck's going on. I end up on the other side of a desk.
Okay? All right. Co-pilot getting fried is a very, very cool scene. At first glance, you would think it was just your typical burn makeup kind of thing, but I wanted to do something a little more interesting with this, which was I wanted to do a burn makeup, but I wanted it to actually occur on camera instead of doing it with cutaways. So what we're doing is we shot Kalyan, that's our actor, with tracking marks on his face. And then we shot Kalyan with his burn makeup, also with tracking marks on his face. Once we have all this correctly dialed into the computer, then I can do a digital blend and do a creeping across the face. And so now the burn makeup that was just blam on his face now gets to be slowly revealed. And it's actually quite startling when you see it.
To me, the virus, the death scene in the movie was just one of the most pivotal scenes in the movie because this was the scene where we were going to see what happens to the world if these people get out of this facility.
Willie's making all of the insides, the guts, and I'm making the outsides. The outsides, what we've done is we've shot the actor with tracking points on his face that we'll visually use to match the actor's face to this guy so that the actor's face will deteriorate to reveal Willie's effect, which is a melting effect. So now the trickiest thing that we have to do right now is just to line up Willie's puppet exactly where the actor was in the film so that we can take the skin and create holes in the actor's face to reveal what's going on underneath. And everything will line up perfectly when we're all done.
We use a special fiber that can dissolve with a chemical. So the fiber you see there, as soon as we put the chemical onto the fiber, it turns into a slime. And it just runs down the face. End of the effect, you will just see a skull with a lot of blood inside them. Combination.
Yes, it's a combination between the two technologies.
Bus the airport.
Look around, and this is all a replacement of green screen. This is white, and this is going to be the Antarctic. Miles of view. Down here is going to be the runway with the airplane, and the alien ship's going to come down from above, and our hero Julian and Michael are going to have their final scene here. John Lynch and James Spader countlessly worked with us. We had everybody on wires, and I wanted to create this suspended gravity feel, and I felt the only way we can do this is if we actually had them struggling with themselves against this on a wire to pull them back and create a false gravity. And it was a long day.
The ending of the film is truly unique. In order to do that, we just shot it in a white environment. Yes, there's some fake snow on the ground and some small rocks around, but by and large, the entire environment with the actors is being created in the computer.
The end of the story takes place in a completely imagined set.
You're basically looking at something that is just not there at all, and you kind of, Ron would speak to us and tell us what we were supposed to be seeing, and then from that you would have to just pull up something inside of you that, a feeling where you had had amazement before.
You can do whatever you imagine, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to make something here that's very unique, something that's never been done before. That's what we try to do.
Is there something out there? Is there another life form? Is there, you know, alien intelligence is always going to be the greatest question that we'll never know until we really find out. And, you know, until then, we'll always have movies. You know, I don't know if the world I'm creating here in Alien Hunter is going to be the world we find down the road or not, but it's certainly a fun place to visit.